We've been spending time in the world's largest gold camp, Cripple Creek, learning about their impressive gold camp history. We also took a look at the interesting ghost town of Victor, Colorado. Today, we're completing our adventure by taking a portion of the Gold Belt tour. We're focusing on the Shelf Road and Phantom Canyon. It's recommended to have a four-wheel drive, but on this day, the road was in good condition, and we had good weather, so it would have been fine with a two-wheel drive SUV. Our jumping-off point is Victor, Colorado, and we'll start on the Shelf Road. In addition to the great scenery this route provides, we'll show you some stops along the way. We'll also be scouting out some areas to camp and places to drive an unlicensed vehicle such as a four-wheeler for a future trip. The entire route is 66 miles long and will most likely take 4 to 5 hours. The highest point reaches 9,700 feet. And the best time of year to go is between May and October. At about 4.5 miles, there's a good place to pull over for your first look at a more expansive view. We put on Onyx as our route tracker so we could see when we were near private land. As you start your ascent, you'll quickly understand why it's one of the most exhilarating drives in the region. Just past the 5-mile mark, you can see Window Rock, one of the iconic views on this road. In 1892, Canyon City constructed the Shelf Road as a toll road to facilitate the movement of goods and passengers between Cripple Creek and Canyon City. This road was one of the earliest routes linking the Arkansas Valley with the Cripple Creek mining district.
Get our fear of what comes after. We'll hold on for better days. Let our past begin to shatter. Days like these, we can see the way to live out anew.
road is famously known as the Shelf, for its 5-mile stretch that clings closely to the rock walls above the creek. If you look closely, you can still spot the old toll keeper's cabin nestled at the base of the canyon.
Times like these, they come and go, so let this feeling grow. Finally see what we've always known, so let this feeling grow. These days come to life like a river keeps on winding. We know this is our time. Keep the memories that we're finding. Times like these, they come and go, so let this feeling grow. Finally see what we've always known, so let this feeling grow. Times like these, they come and go, so let this feeling grow.
We continued on CR9 and made a turn at the sign for the bank. We're halfway before we hit Canyon City. We're looking for the Shelf Road Recreation Area, a popular sport climbing area. The trails support visitors on foot, horseback, and HOVs. Drive up a little further and you're at the Bank Campground, a BLM campground that supports both tent and RV camping. The 13 tent sites are first come first serve. Reservations for group and RV camping are available through recreation.gov. The 13 RV sites don't have electric, water, or sewer hookups, but they are adequately spaced and have a good view. A hop, skip, and a jump away from the bank is another BLM campground, the Sand Gulch Campground. The 31-site area has a combination of first-come, first-served sites and reserve sites. You can find electric here. The Red Rock Canyon Park has primitive camping and trails amongst 500 acres of red rock formations. We didn't turn here, but plan to come back on another trip to explore more. We stopped to take a look at the Garden Park School building just off the road. It was built in 1895 using adobe bricks from local soil. Because it was the only public building in the area, it served as a social hall and a church. As we're driving closer to Canyon City, I'm realizing how much there is to do in this area. I started to make a mental list for a future trip here. Turns out that list would get longer as we head back on Phantom Road. Dinosaur fossils, tracks, eggs, and rare plant species have been uncovered over the last 120 years at this location. It's considered one of the most productive and historically important locations in the United States for studying late Jurassic dinosaurs. There are a number of trails here to explore. After stopping in Canyon City for some lunch, we headed west on Highway 50 to connect to Highway 67. This would take us up Phantom Canyon and return us to Victor. Phantom Canyon is a little less rough and more suited to car traffic. However, the sharp corners and multiple bridges and tunnels don't really lend itself to larger RVs. There are a few rest stops on the road, and this one will give us our first interpretive sign about the history of the road. Unlike the shelf road that was built for stagecoach use, this path was originally built by the Florence and Cripple Creek Railroad line in 1894 to connect the small mining camps to the reduction mines in Florence. This canyon was so spectacular that they began offering passenger service to the general public. However, after a devastating flash flood in 1912 that wiped out several miles of track and 5 bridges, the railroad closed. The town of Victor suggested that the grade be converted into a public highway, and in 1918 it was opened to the public for automobile traffic. Again, a severe flood heavily damaged the road that was barely wider than a trail in 1921. In the fall, the Florence Chamber of Commerce recruited 500 townspeople to donate their time and labor to reestablish the road. Over the years, the road continued to be improved and maintained. Along the road, we spotted several boondocking spots for smaller setups. But you would definitely want to know that you're on public land because it's quite a checkerboard of both public and private. So, why is it called Phantom Canyon? Well, that's a good question. Occasionally, you'll see a sign where there was a town, but I'm assuming that all of the remnants of those ghost towns that once stood there might have been washed away from the floods. Some say that the name came from a sighting in 1890 of a man wearing a prison uniform walking along the tracks. The passenger who claimed to have seen the ghost said he was executed at the Colorado State Penitentiary a few days before. Another story is that the canyon produces an eerie sound as the wind rushes through the canyon walls. I've left links in the description so you can get more information about the areas we saw. If you're in the area, missing a trip to Victor and Cripple Creek would be a shame. These are incredible areas with big history. If you consider the videos helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. This helps others to see this content.
Why didn't the melons get married? Because they cantaloupe.